We got some background feed.
What is going on?
That might be...
Turn down your volume.
Yeah, turn down your volume.
Mine?
Yeah.
It's all the way off. Maybe we have too many things open and live.
I'm muted on everything.
I don't know what's going on right now.
Yeah, but we can... Is that muted? That's muted.
That's muted, yep.
Back your phone a little bit away from the computer.
Oh,
microphone. It's the microphone's getting feedback probably.
Yep.
Okay, what's up, everybody? Hey, go to Beast Mode's YouTube. The link is in my bio. So I'm not going to do a live because I don't want to be answering your questions here. We want to answer your questions there. See? See there, everybody? Look at that. So we're doing a live within a live within a live within a live. It's an inception. So
it's like the Egypt. I was trying to do the Instagram. It's the deception. I don't know. It's something.
So what's going on, guys?
Not much, man. How you been?
Busy but good. Extremely busy, excited. I mean, what a great time to be a Walking Dead fan.
Right. It's finally getting back to what we fell in love with. I think it really is.
How season 3 is this? Season 3 is my favorite season. In this last episode, I mean, we're going to talk a ton about it. We could do an all-night show on this. But how crazy was the parallel between Judith rescuing the new group and Carl rescuing Tyrese and Sasha in the prison? And then Rick is the one saying, no, you got to leave. And Michonne is there watching the whole thing go down in season 3, not realizing now she's doing the exact same thing that Rick did in the prison.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's a lot of parallels to the early seasons, which is, for me, I'm absolutely in love with it. I really am. And it's really getting me back because, for me personally, season 8 really kind of bummed me out. I didn't think that it was, while I loved it, I didn't think that it was on par with what we've come to know and expect from Walking Dead.
Yeah, yeah. Which, I mean, the thing is like, I think some people are new to television, right? I don't know if that sounds kind of pretentious, but people are new to television. Like, they haven't been with a show for more than 2 seasons, or they haven't been able to binge watch it on Netflix on a weekend. Mm-hmm. So they're not loyal to a show like, for example, Lost, when we had to watch Lost once a week for 8 years, and J.J. Abrams decimated our life when he lied to us, right? So it, it goes back a lot further than just The Walking Dead. I mean, Dallas, for example. My grandmother watched Dallas. Yeah. She'd sit up, and I watched it with her because she let me stay up late and watch Dallas with her. So it was a treat to me. I got spoiled because I got to stay up with Grandma and eat nacho cheese and chips and drink Shasta Cola. So I think people haven't really experienced a show with some longevity to it, and so they're going to have issues as a show evolves, because this always happens with shows in the latter seasons, especially when you're talking 8, 9, 10, 11 seasons. There is some seasons that aren't so good. Look at MASH. Look what happened to MASH, right?
Yeah. I also feel like a lot of shows have an issue because they don't change showrunners, they don't change EPs, they don't change directors and things like that, and they get into the kind of like this like stagnant little like repetitive cycle, and that's what I think that's why I think The Walking Dead is kind of picked up. Is I'll give a lot of credit not only to the actors and actresses, but also to Angela Kang, because it's like a fresh set of eyes. She came in and she's got this fresh mindset and these fresh ideas, and that's stuff that we haven't seen in a long time or haven't seen at all. And she's coming in and just slapping it in there, and it's fitting like that last puzzle piece of a puzzle. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's great, and she's been there the whole time, right? So she's been in the background. She's been seeing this going on, so she knows. Like, she's wanted to do the things she's doing, but she wasn't in control. And so being a junior person and making her way up to the executive level that she has become in Walking Dead, now she can do all those things. So she's not, people say, oh, this new person, Angela Kang, she's not new to the show by any means. She's been here since the beginning. She knows what's up. So that's why we're seeing so many good things, because she's remembering when she was on set with the greats of this show that are no longer on the show. So it's amazing. Like I said, best time to be a Walking Dead fan. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and I'll say that honestly, Rick's final episode has been my favorite episode in probably a solid 6 seasons.
Agreed.
Yeah,
absolutely, 100% agree. 3-1 is now my second favorite episode. This was my favorite episode because it pulled so many of my favorite things about The Walking Dead all into one episode. One being Shane. John Bernthal is a legend, and that scene is just classic Shane and Rick. I mean, it's just absolutely it was perfect. They couldn't have done a better job with that scene. It was amazing. And
not only that, but I also saw the whole scene with Herschel. I saw that as not only as like Herschel kind of saying his goodbyes to Rick almost, but I also saw it as like Scott saying goodbye to Andy. And for me, that like, even though they were using pretenses and actual plot devices from The Walking Dead, I feel like they were also like drawing from their own emotions and their own feelings about the bond they formed through that show, and then what continued on past even Herschel being killed, because they were still friends outside of the show.
Yeah. I real quick, because we just kind of dove right in.
Yeah, we kind of, I don't know what happened, but I just rolled.
We were just talking, and that's what we do. Yeah, we just roll with it. So real quick, just for everyone out there watching us on YouTube, we see you all there in the chat area. Hello to all of you. Tonight we're here with Mateo from the Walking Dead base, and on Instagram. Thank you for being here as well. We obviously trying to multitask a little bit more than usual to get the show out there. So you see me holding my phone, so that way I can watch the chat and Instagram, talk to everybody.
And it's cool because you guys are not only listening to us talking to Mateo or him talking to us, you're also kind of seeing like a behind the scenes of what our normal setup looks like.
Yeah. You can see the delay on YouTube.
Yeah.
You get to see the live feed happen. So yeah. Mateo, for our followers and people who might not have met you or know you yet, let's fill them in on who you are, what you do, how you got into it, everything like that. Let's give a little background real quick before we.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick vignette of my story. So, I've been a Walking Dead fan since day one. Absolutely love everything about the show. My affinity towards the undead goes back to Night of the Living Dead, Dracula, all the classics, all the legends of horror. Romero, I just remember watching Romero's films and just geeking out on the whole concept behind living in a post-apocalyptic world. Mad Max, the genre just has always, I've just carried it with me everywhere, and I'm not going to sound like the only one that's ever said this, but I have wished that some days that, man, if it happened today, what would I do? So I've always kind of lived a apocalyptic mindset world where it may happen one day, it may not. I don't think it's going to happen the way we've seen it on TV, but so I've always kind of been a post-apocalyptic person. Like, I know that I'm ready. If it happens, I'm ready. I love guns. I love outdoors. I love hunting. I love shooting. I love all the things that go with that type of lifestyle. So for me, it would be
hold on.
It would be a blast.
All the things that go against California guidelines.
Well, so I'm a native of California, and California once was the Wild West. So
they lost grip.
A little bit crazy right now, but there's still some common sense in California. I live in Orange County in Huntington Beach, so if you Google Huntington Beach, you'll know that this is still a bastion of the free America in California. We still have some common sense here, but it's so lifelong zombie fan. I'm a security consultant by trade, so I've worked in physical electronic security. So I'm kind of in that preparation mode already. So, preparing companies and corporations for the inevitable of disaster and things like that, earthquakes and that sort of thing. So The Walking Dead just made sense to me. There was a no-brainer to falling in love with this show. I used to do a lot of security type products and things, and would work different trade shows and would make improvised crazy weapons. And somebody said, hey, you should really make one of those barbed wire wrap bats. And so I started making those, and those took off. And my friend Tom was the former manager of Walking Dead Base, and his company's taking off. He's in the security world as well. And we kind of connected on Instagram. He said, you would be perfect. I can't do this page justice. You would be perfect for this Walking Dead fan page I'm running. Please take it, run with it. And so we took over the page in March, and we've just been going head, full deep into it. I am a fan of the show. Of course, if we can sell advertising, we'll do that. But I'm running this page because I love the show, and I've built my company around products and services around the show. And so for me, I'm just a huge fan, and got to meet you guys at Walker Stalker Atlanta, which was my first Walker Stalker.
Oh, okay.
And I was like a kid in a candy store. Everyone's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm really not." This is like Disneyland and Christmas morning all wrapped in a big bow. It was incredible. But the thing for me that I like people. I've always liked people, and I was a Coast Guard veteran, so I'm into that camaraderie. I'm into that relationship and that friendship, and I've yet to find something like what I've experienced so far in the Walking Dead world. I mean, you guys, everyone is so kind and so open, and I've never seen something like that. Similar events, almost church-like, events. And I know some people have similar feelings that, like, it feels, it's like a church family. That's how it feels in a good way.
Right.
Not anything, weird or rules or demands, but it just feels like everyone's there for a common purpose. Mm-hmm. And there's no pretense. I mean, of course there's going to be some personalities, but it seems like everyone in this family are really good people. It's just a really neat, awesome feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, Atlanta was by far probably my favorite. We've only been to two others, Chicago and Jersey. Jersey was obviously just a lot of fun. It was smaller, very like personable and everything like that.
Right.
That's where we really met a lot of people that that's where we got to meet Scott Wilson for the first time and Atlanta Masterson, and it's just like, whoa, whoa. Chicago was huge. Chicago is huge, and it had heroes and villains. It had Walker Stalker. It had something for everybody. And then Atlanta being just Walker Stalker, I took so much away from that, especially meeting you, and it's weird. It's like, I'm talking to Dave, Everyday Grimes, and talking to Dave, and I see you in his booth, and I'm like, oh, who's the new cosplayer guy? Like, what's going on? And then I see the beta mask go on. I'm like, oh shit! I'm like, I'm like, this is an upgrade. So it's like, then I see you with the beta mask on, and then talking to you and finding out everything else you do. So then I gotta Instagram stalk you and see what you're about.
Of course.
And then I'm like, yo, this guy he's one of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
This guy is he's one of us. One of us. So it was really cool, man. And being able to take away a friendship and be able to have something like this, something to build on. It's exactly what you're saying. It's exactly what the Walking Dead family is about.
Totally.
So I owe a lot to Atlanta. Atlanta was really, really good to us as far as our podcast, extending our hand to people, and it's just amazing how helpful and how much help people want to give you. You know,
and I want to say this just because I feel like it's the right thing to do. I know he's here right now, and I don't want to stroke his ego a little too much because his ego is already pretty inflated.
Oh God.
But we owe a lot to Oscar Rodriguez. You know, he's a brother of ours. You know, we've gotten very close to him and his wife Casey and his family. And if it wasn't for Oscar, we would never have gone to Jersey last year. And if it wasn't for that fact, that opened up so many avenues for us, and we met so many people. And I mean, maybe Chris and I would have gone to one Walker Stalker, maybe.
Yeah, eventually,
you know. And for us, it was a matter of what can we do for the podcast next? What can we do to take us to that next level? You know,
right?
And when I thought more and more about it, and Oscar invited us, at first Chris and I were just kind of like, yeah, sure, and we're just like, whatever, and we kind of, at first, were just like, we're not sure, like how that's going to go. And then Oscar invited us, and it was immediately like a family reunion.
Yeah.
And people came up to us, and they're like, oh, you're the Beast Boys. And we're like, what? You follow us? Like, what? You know, and by the time we were in Jersey, I want to say we probably had barely 1,000 followers.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
You know, and then Oscar invited us to go to Chicago with him. And which was even crazier because that was not only Walker Stalker, but that was Heroes and Villains Fan Fest.
Yeah.
And so that was just a huge, huge event. And that was just more of the same. And each time, the three Walker Stalkers we've gone to, everything just kind of like increased incrementally.
Yeah, sure.
And by the time we got to Atlanta, it was to the point where like we were at the Halloween party on Saturday, and random people were coming and be like, "Hey Ryan, what's up, man?" And I'm like, hey, how you doing? The fuck are you? You know, and it's not a matter of being rude. It's just a matter of, like, people are recognizing us, and it's like, I don't recognize them, which is, I mean, not to be harsh. It just, you know, there's not that interaction yet. But for people to actually recognize us and call us out on a public is just an awesome feeling.
Yeah.
Sorry for the noise, guys. I'm just changing my setup. I just realized I was in portrait mode and it looked like crap, so I just converted it to window.
Oh, no, you're fine, man.
It's all right. We do on-the-fly adjustments all the time. Everyone's perfectly fine with it.
That is our specialty, sir.
Uh-oh. Until his phone fell.
Nice fan.
All right.
I see Carl. We have Carl in the background.
Yeah, so we got, Mr. Grimes and young Carl.
Coral.
Boy. Yeah, it was, and Oscar was great, too. Again, another person that just, totally, he didn't know me from anybody. We had chatted once, I think, on Instagram. And again, just totally embraced, brought me into the fold, made me feel part of the crew. It was just really, it was great. It was just, I can't say enough. And part of I'm learning a new video editing software, Premiere, and it's a lot. But I'm piecing together all of my footage from Walker Stalker, and I changed, actually on the fly, the emphasis of what I was going to do from kind of just my experience to an encouragement video for people to go to Walker Stalker because it's unlike anything else I've ever done. It's seriously one of the top 5 best weekends of my life.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And you guys were part of that. And I mean, in the stories, of your, I know you guys talked about it on your last one, but, just all the miracles that happened for you, Ryan, I mean, just incredible.
Yeah.
Of your little incident that you had. And it's it's awesome just how everyone kind of rallied together around. They just rally around. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are. Everyone's family. So it's really cool to see that, and I'm honored to be part of that community.
Yeah, we say it all the time. It's and obviously the people who show up every week, to listen to us talk, and just talk about something they love. So if we didn't have the people in YouTube watching, if we didn't have the people on Instagram watching, it'd be us three just, being nerds and
talking to an empty room.
Talking in an empty room, So obviously for everyone showing up like you usually do, we can't thank you enough. And the more we were able to do this, the more we're able to give you guys.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, like, you know, I'm not going to keep harping on it, but you mentioned it, you know, with what happened with my seizure and everything. And I've had people up until yesterday messaging me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and just be like, hey man, I hope you're doing all right. And it's people that I know who they are, but we've had very little interaction.
Right.
But it's just it's people from the Walking Dead family, and they just reach out to you, and it's like just a little bit just makes me feel really good, you know, because it's like, you know, I'm gonna be honest, people from like the Walking Dead family, I'm closer to than some of my own family members, and that might sound terrible, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's not blood that makes you; it's just bonding over shared interest. You know what I mean?
Bear with me, Instagram. Bear with me. I'm just gonna try.
Which is one of the overwhelming elements of The Walking Dead.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
The family isn't the family you're born into; it's who you choose, and they choose who they want to be with. So it's awesome, and having. I'm just texting my daughter, making sure my dog didn't sneak out. She tends to when she wants because she's a Malinois. Just decides she wants to leave the yard.
That's good
because she can jump in 8 seconds. So I'd have to have a prison around my house to keep her in, but you know, for the most part she's good. But occasionally when she sees another dog, because we live right next to a school, she'll let herself out to go say hi to the other dogs and let herself back in. So she always comes back. But
it sounds like your dog can jump over an 8-foot fence. Mine would run through it because he just probably doesn't realize he could jump over it.
I was going to say he's probably just he's a couple bolts short of a toolbox, you know.
Yeah, he's Let's not talk about him. I'll probably have high blood pressure.
Well, you know, having gone through something similar. You know, mine was self-imposed. Mine wasn't an unplanned seizure, but here she is. You talk to the dog, and she thinks she just comes in. But I fell last December. I fell off of my banister, sliding down the banister, and proceeded to hit my head. I was wearing a helmet though, because we were doing a podcast, and you always wear a helmet when you slide down a banister.
Absolutely.
And ended up in ICU for 4 days. Had a seizure, the full gamut. But mine was caused by a massive cranial bleed. So yeah, it was an intense December. So the first half of the year has been a little bit interesting for me this year, and hence why I'm starting my own show. I was on a podcast before called Men Podcast, and we're changing it up, and I'm calling it Dead Man Talking because I am definitely I'm a use case for helmets. Let's just put it that way. The neurologist said, had I not been wearing that helmet, I would not have survived. So I'm very grateful for each day I have, and that's why ultimately what I try to do on Walking Dead Base and all of really my social media channels is promote positivity and love. You know, I'm okay with a little bit of angst and a little bit of shenanigans, but for the most part, there's no reason to swear. You know, sometimes a swear is good, on social media, but there's no reason to be nasty to each other. There's no reason to threaten other people and tell them they're stupid or whatever. You know, we can have a conversation about The Walking Dead and not get into geopolitical topics and things about personal choices and gender bias and sexuality. This isn't the place for that. You know, there's so much of that on social media. Yep. I want to be a place where people can enjoy their fandom and truly appreciate each other. And if people aren't into that, I don't want to participate. You know what I mean? I don't want them to be part of what we're trying to accomplish. So, for example, somebody comes into a live and they start swearing or they start saying negative things to somebody else or making fun of somebody else in the live. You get one chance. It's kind of like Rick's rules. You know, you get one chance after that, or more like Negan's rules, I guess. There's one exception, and after that, you're gone. You know, there's just no place for it when there's so much negativity and hate out there to allow that to happen on a place where we're here to have fun. Mm-hmm. You know, and I know you guys get this one. My favorite is you realize it's just a TV show, right? Like, yep. No, I actually thought Rick Grimes was a sheriff from Georgia. Like, I really thought this.
You caught me, Skippy.
I really thought now that Alexandria, Virginia is overrun by zombies. Like, no, of course I know it's a show, dude. Really? Come on.
Yeah. We so I just want to check in with Instagram real quick as I move the phone around. Sorry, guys. Let me see. The Walking Dead 129 wants to know. He said 2 people that they think are gonna come off the show be killed is going to be Rosita and Ezekiel. Wants to know what we think, and then Thorgon. No, unfortunately, we won't be making it to the UK. On the bucket list, but definitely not for this year. And let me see. Dead Connection. What's up, Dead Connection? Oh, God, I hit something.
Double tap. There you go.
Oh, disconnection, yes.
No, I didn't disconnect. I didn't disconnect.
No, he just double tapped it by accident.
Yeah. The Dead Connection, what's going on? Thanks for checking in.
We did have a question from Ava Johnston.
Eva.
Eva?
Yeah, it's Eva.
She asked, do we think there's going to be a season 10? And and kind of what I think she said, what was her theories on what it would what's going to happen in season 10?
So, all right, we're going to dive into Mateo's little theory, his little conspiracy, because I'm down with it. I'm really down with it. I read it and I was like, I'm down with this. Yeah, we got the tin hat on.
There you go. I like it.
Let's dive into what you put on Instagram the other day, talking about the 131 6 minus 5.
Yeah, the math equation, right. So, I mean, this goes back, and Thorgon, who's in here, we got to give Thorgon some credit. Thorgon's awesome. He's from the UK. He does Walker Tips. You guys probably know him as Walker Tips.
Yep, absolutely. I'm trying to win me a shirt.
He's great. So he came out early and said that Jadis had something to do with it, and Rick was going to leave on a helicopter. Now, he's not an insider. He's not connected to the show. He's just he's an old guy like me. He's been watching TV for too long. That's the only thing this teaches me is that I watch too much television. But so he came out quick with the theory of Rick and Jadis on the helicopter. I adopted it quickly with him. I knew. So let me back up. The moment that I heard that Andrew was leaving, and it came out in a very non-traditional way, I knew something was up, because I know how Hollywood works. I've seen an NDA and signed an NDA myself from AMC, so I know what the legalese is that just as an outsider I had to sign. Yep. So God knows what type of contract people that actually work on the show have to sign. So I knew something was up right away. So I came out quick right after we heard he was leaving, before it was even announced from any formal source, that this was a PR stunt. It smelled to me like Dallas. We talked about Dallas earlier, Who Shot JR.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that the show has had declining ratings, right? I mean, at one point, Walking Dead had 17 million viewers on a Sunday, right? It's broken records. So now we're hovering around 5 to 6 million with this season. Season 8, just the ratings totally tanked.
Oh, God.
So I knew it was a stunt.
Mm-hmm.
So I said all along, Rick is not leaving. He's not leaving. He's not leaving. Something is up.
Yeah.
So we heard at first, right, and I'll recap, just, you guys invited me, so I'll just rant a little bit.
Go ahead, man.
We were told from the beginning that he's leaving for his family, right? Oh, because that pulls your heartstrings. Oh, the kids. We have to do it for the kids. That's why he's leaving the show. It's for the kids. But here we've seen Glenn, Abraham, Carl, all these beloved characters killed off. There's no way they're going to kill off Rick. Like they would be on stupid pills to get rid of Rick. It just doesn't make any sense. The whole comic revolves around Rick Grimes. It makes absolutely no sense. So why would Andrew Lincoln want to leave the show for any other reason than his family? Because what are you going to do? You're gonna bash a guy for wanting to be with his kids, right? If he had an ailing father, that would be another one. Oh, I'm there. I'm going to take care of my sick parent. I'm not making fun of having another father, but I mean, people will respond to that. That's a very positive thing. Or if they were personally sick, you can give them an excuse. So when we heard that it was the family, we're like, okay. But then after Comic-Con, we hear, this will be my last season portraying the character of Rick Grimes. That seems odd.
Right.
Then we start seeing different people posting things like hearts and weird comments and different things. And then he says, "This isn't meant to be an obituary notice. My relationship with Rick Grimes is far from over."
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying this doesn't seem right. It just doesn't smell right. So I keep thinking about these things. Then Thorgon decides he's scouring the internet, and he finds Pollyanna McIntosh posts a goodbye picture after Comic-Con to Andy. And it's a picture of Elvis Presley.
Yep.
Very non-assuming picture of Elvis Presley. What people don't realize is that photo is Elvis in Las Vegas, one of his last shows before he overdosed, getting on a helicopter to go to his next show in Jersey, right, in Atlantic City. So Thorgon says, "Hey, this is funny, Pollyanna. You're going to take Rick on the CDC helicopter and escape in the season finale?" And she says, "Ha, ha, ha, very funny, sneaky chops." So she ends up blocking Thorgon, right? So she blocks the kid, which tells you something interesting, too, that yeah, he is a persistent fellow, but he's onto something because he kept commenting and he kept mentioning this stuff and he was letting the theory out. And so what's funny is I would have certain cast members like pictures that I would post about my theories. They would initially like it, and then I would see they would unlike it. And the reason is they saw the picture, they liked it, then they saw the caption, and they're like, "Oh, I can't associate with this photo." Because I was saying things like, this doesn't make any sense. Now what happens is, as the summer went on, we heard, well, maybe Andy's going to come back, but he's going to direct.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to shadow the director for the remainder of season 9, and he's going to direct in season 10. But I thought he wanted to go back home to England to be with his kids.
Yep.
So what is it? Does he want to be with his family, or does he want to direct episodes of The Walking Dead? He never said that. So this is getting really strange. Then a friend that we all know that I don't like to burn our sources, messages me after this and says, "Hey, Andy was just spotted in Sonoya. He's not in the UK." So then I post that, and somebody says, "Oh, well, you don't know that. We saw him in the UK." I said, "Oh, that's interesting," because I have a friend. So I contacted my friend who's a pilot who flies a Gulfstream 5. I said, "Hey, how much would it cost to fly from Heathrow to Atlanta Airport?" He says, "About $40,000 private." I said, "So we go to the private terminal at Heathrow and the executive terminal at Atlanta, and I could get in." I said, "I could get into London without anybody knowing, and I could get back without anybody knowing I left the country." He said, 100%, time and money, for $40,000. Not a big deal for a show that makes millions of dollars every episode.
And the highest paid actor on the show.
Right? 40 grand is nothing, right?
Yeah.
But no, we have to do the big scene with the backpack in the airport and, "Hey, I'm going back to England," right? So we see this big show of his departure.
Yeah.
Now so I said all along, he's not going to die. Then we start seeing the bridge episodes. I'm like, with another couple people, we came up with a theory. Something's going to be up with the bridge because now he's leading the walkers and all this stuff. But what you guys noticed that happened is at episode 3, it was really interesting. Now they got the quick numbers from the ratings,
mm-hmm.
and at the end of episode 3, just like that, there was a crawler at the bottom of next week on The Walking Dead that said final 2 episodes of Rick Grimes.
Right.
Like they hit the switch quick on it. Like, oh crap, ratings are dumping. We've got to push this. They also gave us AMC Premiere, which took a hit in the ratings.
Yeah.
But if 1 million people subscribed at $4.99 a month, $5 million goes a long way to helping pay for salaries and things like this.
Yep.
So we're steamrolling, right? So all this stuff is going on in my head. I'm like, there's no way he's leaving. Then we have people saying he's dying, he's gonna die. Then Angela King pivots and said, well, maybe he'll be back. Well, maybe he won't. There's just this dance back and forth. And Andy's at New York Comic-Con. He's everywhere. He's bouncing all around. We know he's been in Sonoya at least 5 or 6 times since LA Comic-Con or San Diego Comic-Con. So what is it, Andy? Are you going to be with your family or are you not? So then we find out at the end, Talking Dead, after the episode, hey, Scott Gimple's there. Hey, we've been fooling you. We're actually going to do a trilogy of Rick Grimes stories that's going to explain where he's been. Ha, ha, ha. Everyone's like, oh, he's not dying, right? It was like, that's how it felt, right? But what's even more strange, here's where we put on the aluminum foil hat again. What's even more strange is how awkward was the interview between Yvette Nicole Brown and Andy. How awkward was that interview?
Yeah. Yep.
That's not how she interviews. That is not her typical interview style. So either she was really nervous or she was not quite being honest. Now, I'm going to reenact a quick scene. She says, "Oh, hello, Andy. I am here with you in the UK because you're here with your family. And if we can't bring the Talking Dead to you, or if you can't come to the Talking Dead, we'll bring it to you. So, this was your last episode." Now, I'm not trying to make her exact face, but she was very eyes
Scripted.
closed, looking away, no eye contact. And then she goes into asking him real relevant questions, and she's real bubbly in her normal personality. So that leads me to believe she's either reading a script, she was nervous, or she's lying.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were there in Atlanta, and she was still there Sunday night for the viewing party. So then she took a flight. She went to the UK.
Not you. That was for Oscar. That's for Oscar. Sorry, guys. If you saw my middle finger come up, it's for Oscar. My bad. Keep going.
Awesome. Right? So, and then they're in this nondescript, weird-looking, dark studio, and the questions, his responses were really. I don't want to exaggerate. I'm not trying to pander to you guys, but did it seem off to you guys?
Yeah.
The whole interview, everything just seemed very planned, scripted.
In my opinion, the whole introduction to that whole segment with her and him seemed scripted. It seemed very verbatim.
Mm-hmm.
Is right? I guess a good way of saying it, because it was almost like robotic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And almost uncomfortable.
For both of them.
It felt uncomfortable for me, and I wasn't even there, and I'm just like, what is going on?
Andy was uncomfortable, Yvette was uncomfortable, and I think is because we had Andy's sightings. Now, Andy's sightings are, some of them you have to take with a grain of salt. I always joke it's probably David because he looks just like Andy, so people are like, hey, it's Rick. But it was said that he was in Atlanta for Walker Stalker. Like, he has a house in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
He owns a home there. It's not like he lives in a hotel when he comes on the set, right? And he's shadowing directors for the remainder of the season. Well, this last Monday is when they started filming the season finale.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if he's shadowing for the remainder of season 9, I think they were in Sonoya. I don't think they were in the UK. And so now we have a trilogy story that's going to explain where he's been for 6 years,
mm-hmm.
and parts beyond where he goes, which I want to believe they're going to do that. They're probably going to be available only on AMC Premiere, which, again, this is a PR stunt. They want to promote their product, which makes money for them.
Right.
But it still doesn't add up to me that they do this. And then last week, he comes out with a statement and says, everyone comes out and says, I will not be returning to The Walking Dead. And to me, it's not so much what you say, it's what you don't say.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have to say that to us. You don't have to lie to us and say, I'm not going to be returning. I'm never going to be returning. I'm never going to get back together with that guy. And then he calls you up and the girl's like, oh yeah, baby, I love you too, right? And he said in the statement, he said, I didn't mean to be disingenuous with the fans, but I wanted to protect the story.
Yeah.
So you're confessing to lying to us, Andy. And I know that's your job. You're an actor. That's what actors do. They mislead us. In television shows, if Scott Gamble came out and said, hey, this is what we're going to do in the season finale, why would you watch the season finale, right? Only the super fans. So TV shows do this to keep the audience on their toes. But what I think happens is that there's so many people that are more concerned about going and getting the latest pumpkin spice or peppermint latte that they're not remembering what was said 6 months ago. Like, they're more worried about what's triggering them on social media today. They're not paying attention to the storyline and how much this is. Now, what's going to trip you out even more is that they said 6 months ago that he was slated for 6 episodes. It was everywhere. Mm-hmm. I've pulled it up. I've researched it. Unfortunately, AMC, you can't scrub the web. You can alter what you said and you can add things into episodes after the fact, but you can't scrub all of the internet. And I found multiple sources that confirmed that he was going to be in 6 episodes in season 9.
Right. And this is where the 6 minus 5 equals 131.
Right? So my theory is that,
right?
that episode 131 is directed by Greg Nicotero. It's going to be the season 9 finale. They said he's going to be in 6 episodes. There's one more episode left by 6. And if people say, oh, well, it's going to be a flashback. No, that doesn't hold true, because if he comes back in a flashback, they're still misleading us. They said it was Rick Grimes' final episode. He said he is never returning to the show. So if it's Rick in a flashback, you're not being totally forthright with us, because that wasn't his final episode. So you're lying to us. Now people say, why are you so hard on Andy? He's just an actor. I'm not being hard on Andy. I'm looking for people to really look and evaluate this. And if my account's shut down, I love you guys. We'll start a new page. If I'm asked to stop saying these things, you know why. But these spoiler pages and these things that get leaked are leaked intentionally to mislead people. Like, I don't think people realize that there are things they do. There's misinformation and campaigns that studio executives do. They put stuff out intentionally to start rumors so they can get people off track. You know, and people say, oh, you're crazy, you're crazy. People said the same thing that they're saying about me right now when I said that this was all a PR stunt and Rick Grimes wasn't going to die, nor was he going to leave. So I'm not saying I'm 100% right in exactly how he's going to return, but it just doesn't make sense. What also doesn't make sense is Pollyanna McIntosh was seen with Jeffrey Dean Morgan last week when they're shooting the finale in Sonoya, but yet she came out and said she's not in any more episodes in season 9. So do you guys go to work on your day off?
Well,
it's funny you say that.
Well, look, in our line of work, yeah. I don't know if you're an actor, probably not, but sometimes we get phoned in, but that's different.
Yeah.
Right, you get phoned in to work, right?
Yeah.
Hey, quiet. You get phoned in to go to work.
Yeah.
Right?
Not to go hang out.
not to go hang out with your buddies.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Jeff's cool, but it doesn't make sense that she, of all people, would be there and she would be specifically seen. So if Jadis or Anne or whatever she's going by now has a scene, who would she have a scene with?
Yeah.
See, my biggest skepticism from this whole situation is they have gone 9 seasons, over 100 and some odd episodes.
24, yeah.
And 24, okay. Without they've killed how many characters? They've killed how many main characters? So why now are they all of a sudden getting gun shy about killing off a character? Now I understand Rick is a main character. Well, but why leave that avenue open if he's 100% done?
Look what happened after Chandler.
Yeah.
You go and kill Carl, and literally the Walking Dead world fucking flipped on its head, shit a brick, hate mail everywhere, wanted to kill everybody because you killed the guy who's still alive in the comics and blah blah blah. In the meantime, I'm over here applauding it because that kid's story arc ended in fucking season 4,
and that was that wasn't Chandler's fault.
And no, that had nothing to do with Chandler.
That was
once again, Chandler is a great actor. And he loves music. He's killing it right now DJing.
Yeah,
you know, so it's like,
oh, he's gonna be fine. He's stoked.
The kid's set for life. Are you kidding me?
Decision, right? He was about to get a big boy contract.
Yeah.
And so they made the decision: are we going to have CGI deer, or are we going to kill off Carl?
Right.
We're going to kill off Carl so we can actually do some real CGI and quit shortcutting and get some additional budget, because they had to pony up the money to, you know, it's an expense thing. It's the same thing with Lenny James going to Fear. You know, that freed up some free cash, you know, to put him over to Fear. Because the thing, yes, we love the show. It's an awesome fandom. But if you did the math at Walker Stalker, like I did, because I always think about business and marketing. This isn't about a TV show, fellas.
Yeah,
I'm
right,
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, we love it. We love the universe. I love all the actors and actresses. But this ain't about money. This is about money. This isn't about a TV show.
Yeah.
Well, Lucy.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah. No, I'm gonna say that because Lauren Cohen's not done with The Walking Dead.
No.
Correct.
That was her last episode of season 9. And they've worded that very specifically when they've made press releases, and she's made statements about that. If you go back and read it, they specifically say that this was Maggie's last episode of season 9.
Right.
They've never said that this is her last episode as Maggie, Maggie Reed from The Walking Dead, whatever.
Correct.
And she'll be back season 10 premiere. I can almost guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
And I also read an interesting article from, I think it was Undead Walking. I'm almost 100% positive about season 5 of Fear the Walking Dead, and how
time jump,
and how that is actually that full season will be a crossover of Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead, and basically what it's going to do is fill in the gaps of the 6-year time jump from season 8, season 9, whatever the hell happened, episode 9,
5,
the 6-year time jump. It's going to explain what happened in that time frame. And if you go on Undead Walking on their Twitter page or any of the website, anything like that, and go and read it, it's actually a very compelling theory that because that's why in season 4 they were leading up with Lenny James Morgan. Right. Kept talking about Alexandria and kept talking about the factory and all this other stuff. And it was leading up to a crossover, which, if you think about it, I mean, that could also be where Maggie is. She could be with Morgan, helping him out with something, and that's why she vanished.
Quiet.
We're all good with some dog porn. You can let your dog come hang out. That's fine.
Maybe
but
it's time to go for a run. We're gonna stop. They don't understand schedules and Instagram Live.
No, not at all. It's all about them 100% of the time.
But here's an interesting thing. So the same thing was said about Maggie, that she signed on for 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For season 9, right? It was said. So did they get their math wrong? Were they rounding up? I don't. When they say that, and again, I thought I was going crazy, so I researched it, and Google you can't scrub everything off of Google, and several sources said that she had signed on for 6 episodes in season 9.
Yep.
6 minus 5 equals 1. So what if Maggie was so distraught because ultimately Maggie's responsible for what happened to Rick?
Yep.
She did the bypass. She got Daryl to take him on the bike so ultimately it's Daryl and Maggie's responsibility. Why do you think Daryl's so mopey and he's become the old man in the sea on the river, right? Because he's ultimately responsible for what happened to Rick.
Yeah.
Really, ultimately, who's responsible is this guy here. But
Mr. Rebar.
The most hated thing in the world is a piece of rebar.
And I want to know, where did Daryl, out of all the dogs in the world to have accompany you, how does he get a Belgian Malinois?
Well, being a Mal owner myself, they're the only dogs that are smart enough to survive the zombie apocalypse, because don't tell them they're dogs. I don't tell my DOGs that they're dogs, but the thing is, and that's a preemptive thing. Even that kind of bugs me. It's fine, whatever. I'm not going to go on that tangent.
Yeah, I mean,
look at my
I will.
If you want to see that, but they did a Mal specifically because Halle Berry has 2 Mals in John Wick Chapter 3, and so they're playing off the popularity of the Belgian Malinois. But don't go get a Mal, please. Whatever you do, But what's funny is his dog, Seven, I think, is the actor, the canine actor, the dog name. Looks just like my female Mal, which they're amazing dogs, but they're not. It's kind of like a pit or any of the big breeds or aggressive breeds. They're not for everybody, so please do your homework. But yeah, it's I'm glad they can't. This dog has to live forever. They can't Shiva this dog.
Oh. Well, you'll have a lot of broken hearts as soon as there's broken hearts after killing a tiger. You kill a dog, and your viewers are going to dump all over the place.
Have you seen I Am Legend?
Yeah. Well, look. Come on.
Oh God. Yeah. Don't.
Heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's he'll definitely go John Wick. If something happens to that dog, Daryl is definitely going to go John Wick.
Well, and that's the thing. How long has he had How long has he had the dog for? You know, like,
Has he had it for the full 6 years? Has he had it for 3 years? Has that for, you know what I mean?
You know, like what the hell? No, he's not a CGI dog.
But how cool is that? Because that throws us back to, I forget the exact episode, but when they're at the funeral home with Beth,
yes.
And remember, there's a dog, and they're like, it's a dog. They were so tripped out that it was a dog, and he went to answer the door, and it was the walkers at the second time because the dog skirted out because the dog knew what was up. But yeah, I mean, so it's even that, even having Daryl having a dog is a throwback to him caring about dogs because, you know, Daryl's the type of guy that a dog never hurt him, dog never abused him, dog never betrayed him or tried to steal anything from him. So Daryl's definitely a dog guy. He's a lone wolf. So it's I'm surprised they didn't have like a husky or a wolf because, you know, he's into the huskies. But it's, you know, it again, like I said, regardless of all my crazy theories. So again, my theory is it's going to be a cliffhanger at the end of season 9. It's going to be Rick. He's going to come back. I'm pretty confident. I don't want to say I'm certain because I'm never certain, but I'm pretty confident that he's coming back in the season 9 finale. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't. My gut tells me that what they're doing just doesn't feel right, and it doesn't make sense if you go into a trilogy of movies in 2020. Right, so season 9 finale is going to be next summer, basically end of spring next summer.
Yep.
And then season 10 premiere would be the fall. It would be October, November. Then we have a series of Rick Grimes movies that explains where he's been. But what's the buildup to explain? Like, there has to be a lead-in from the show to the movie. So how cool of a buildup would it be if the movies release after a season 9 beginning, where we do see Rick back and Rick says, "Oh, hey, Michonne, this is what happened," and then it goes into the movies, and the movies explain that story. Or like you said, Fear of season 5 explains some of those stories. But if you don't do it quick, like if you don't season 9 finale it, or season 10 premiere that storyline, it doesn't flow with their quote unquote idea of doing movies. And Rick Grimes would never stay away from his family.
Yeah.
So we have to understand, that has to be reconciled. We can't just stay away from his family forever. But what's interesting, this one will trip you guys out. My friend Derek and I were talking about this yesterday, is the whole time this thing has evolved from my family to I want to be a director to now I'm doing a trilogy to I may be back. It's this whole jarbled mess. But what's he saying, and I know it's a throwback to season 1 lines, because that's, you know, all Rick was doing was looking for, you know, Lori and Carl, is what's the very last line from Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, according to his final episode? What is he saying? I found my
family.
Mm-hmm.
I found my family. And now, if you want to really get deep on this theory, this whole time he says he's doing it for his family. What if he's saying that, talking about his set family and not his actual family? Because if you look at the math and the amount of times he's been in the States this summer when he's supposedly with his family, he's been spending a lot of time with his cast members. So people have said, well, Mateo, you're crazy. How are they going to sell this to us? And so can I give you guys my interpretation of how we're going to sell it? Are we good on time?
No, yeah, man. Listen, we're here as long as you want to be.
So I'll do my best. Well, you know,
he's turning.
I really was done with the show. I was ready for the movies. My British accent's terrible, by the way. And I came home from the markets one day, and my youngest, I forget his name, my youngest kid, he was wearing the Stetson, because, you know, I got a Stetson from Greg Nicotero when I left the show. And he was like, "Daddy, where is our sister Judith? And whatever happened to Carl?" And Caro, I don't know how you Caro. "And when is Uncle Norman going to come see us? I really miss him." And my wife, who's lovely, just said to me, "Andy, we're all family. We will compromise and make it work. And it'll be this lovely, it's quite charming. It'll be this touching, loving." She told me that this was what made me the man I am. She knew I was miserable. And she told me, go back and be with Michonne and fix it. and we're gonna see. This is my prediction. We're gonna start seeing rumors of this in the spring, January, February, after the new year. We're gonna start hearing little sprinkles, and you're gonna get little tidbits, and it's gonna be rumors about when the movies. Maybe the movies will even be on hold. Production costs are skyrocketing. The movies are going to be pushed out till 2022. It's going to be this whole angst about him, and we're going to continue to perpetuate. He's never coming back. He's never coming back. He's never coming back. Because if you say he may come back, people are going to kind of let go of it. But if you say he's never going to come back, people are like, you can't. He has to come back. What do you mean he's never coming back on the show? And then he comes back and they're like, surprise, we told you. Now, why I think they're going to do this is, unfortunately, I think we're still going to see. I don't think the ratings are going to recover like we thought they were going to. I think we're going to continue. I don't think we're going to hit 9 million, 10 million views this season. I think it's going to be dismal. Which, to say you only get 6 million viewers on a Sunday night is dismal. When you were getting 15 million, it's pretty bad. But they've kind of cut off. They've kind of amputated their own fan base by doing AMC Premiere and all the streaming services and all the stuff that are out there that people don't necessarily watch it on cable anymore. But I think that we're going to continue to see a ratings. It's going to stabilize, but I think it's going to be 5-6 million, maybe 6.5 million, which is decent. It's an still more than Sunday Night Football, right?
It would be a huge bump for them as of right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think we're going to ever see. I think the time is gone for those $17 million, insane ratings. And then even if you couple Talking Dead ratings in with The Walking Dead, it's still the number one rated show in its time slot. It surpasses anything else. If you combine that, and then if you combine Fear into it, Fear's ratings are out the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Like Fear is blown away, and we knew that was going to happen. Just you put that ensemble together. Of course, it's, in my opinion right now, Fear is probably the best show on television. Because you can't. You put Garrett Dillahunt and all these people, what's going to go on. But, so that's my aluminum foil hat theory. That's what 6 minus 5 equals 131 means. I'm going to get shirts made, I think.
Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
5 equals 131. And the thing is, like, okay, people are like, well, what if you're wrong? You should delete your account if you're wrong. It's like, no.
What?
It's called the theory for a reason, you idiot.
Yeah, I'll get rid of my account with like all my what do you have? 40? I don't even know. 42,000 followers or something crazy, or 400 something thousand.
I think like 450 something.
450,000.
Like
yeah, I'll definitely delete my account.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, this is fun. This is fun to me. I like to prognosticate. That's a word. Yeah, prognosticate and come up with theories because it's fun, and I love, like, people say you don't respond. I'm like, no, I do. I respond to messages. I try to once a day go in and reply to as many comments as I can, and engage with the fans, because this is as close. Like, I love what David says about cosplaying. Everyday Grimes. He's like, for most people, this is as close as they're ever going to get to Andy, is by taking a picture with me. So I'm honored that I can carry that mantle. So for me, I'm honored to be able to be that conduit, because like you guys, we get to interview celebrities from the show. We get to sit down and really talk to people. And so I want to honor that and take that with all seriousness. But in that, we can have fun with this. There's nothing wrong with saying, that this is going to happen, and when people say things like, oh, you shouldn't do this, it's a spoiler. And I just say, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to spoil next week. Daryl dies. Carol kills Daryl.
I will say that I think that the next major character death we're going to see, in my personal opinion, is Jesus.
Yeah.
I really do, only because I feel like, as far as the storyline, and this is nothing against Tom Payne or anything like that.
Yeah, awesome.
It's just, I think he's outlived his usefulness.
Not only that, anybody who's paid attention to what's been going on, he's kind of on the outs because he didn't play nice in the sandbox.
Yeah.
And got himself into trouble.
Yep.
It's out there. It's not a secret. So they said, okay, well, bye. And so, spoiler alert. Get ready to say get ready to say goodbye to your man Jesus. Probably in the mid-season finale.
That's what I'm.
That's my guess, and that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Ooh. So here's my, and I don't know. So this is as a fan. I'm speculating as a fan. Are we gonna get Beta as soon as episode 8? Do you think we're gonna close with Beta like we closed with Negan in 7?
I think Jesus. I think Jesus will be the first victim of the Whisperers.
Oh God.
It's a strong possibility.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if we'll see the Whisperers in 8. I'm not. Look, they're obviously, if you're paying attention, you know that they're in the herd.
It goes something like that.
Yeah.
And then an end scene. Jesus getting his head chopped off.
Yeah.
End scene. Ugh.
I think that you'll see a CGI Jesus head on a pike.
It's very possible. I
either CGI or they'll do what they did with Herschel's head and they'll just make the plastered version.
Yeah, animatronic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I really feel for the fans because knowing what I know about the Whispers, and I don't read the comics, I get all the stuff. I'm gonna read them all because I don't want to spoil the show. So when the show's over, I'm gonna read all the comics because I don't like. I mean, I hear what everyone says, but I don't like to say, "Oh, well, in the comic, you know." And if you read the comics, that's great. But for me, I'm gonna wait until it's all said and done to read them. But if people freaked out over Negan,
yeah,
Alpha and Beta are gonna mess up their work. Like if they do it right, how they should do it.
Yeah.
Negan's gonna be like a kindergarten teacher compared to Beta.
Yeah.
Like Beta's just gonna be so savage and have brains all over his hands and his face, and it's gonna be ridiculous.
And I think Ryan Hurst is gonna kill it.
Yeah,
I really do.
I mean, look, we all read and heard about the backlash that AMC got, and you know The Walking Dead got for the brutal, gory, savage beating
of
Glenn and Abraham.
Yeah. Especially Glenn with the eyeball popping out.
All the bandwagon fans jumped off because it was just way too much. You know, you shouldn't have this on TV. We've done this rant 100 times, and I keep telling people that if you read the comic, you don't know what dark you don't know what dark is until you read that comic.
You would understand why Michonne hated the governor so much.
Yeah, that's seriously. Exactly what I go to every time. Yep. That is the go-to scene. Go to that scene in the comic and tell me, you think they could have put that on TV? Are you kidding me? Yeah. That right there would have made people probably vomit.
And not only that, in the comics, when Spencer gets killed and he gets gutted, I don't mean it's not like him holding his guts in. I mean, I actually went back and looked. Like, it's his guts flying out of his body.
Yeah.
And, like, blood and everything. And
complete evisceration,
like, yeah, but in the show, he kind of, like, holds everything there like he's like cradling, like, a pregnant stomach.
And they did that because of the two gory, violence and bullshit.
And that's like, I read an article that they were talking about Glenn's death in the season 8 premiere.
Yeah.
Whatever. But they're talking about that, and they're
7-1.
7-1.
Yeah.
I knew my net math was off, but they were like, the certain cast members were like, well, we've gone, 7 seasons without an eyeball popping out, and that was unnecessary goriness. And I said, okay, but think about what you just said. We've gone 7 seasons without it. Okay, that's a good thing. That means they're doing things they haven't done before.
Yeah.
Haven't you heard of repetition and how stale that could get of the TV show?
Yeah.
That's the death of TV shows, is repetition.
Well, Lonnie, did that get better? Sorry, I'm just making sure. I guess there might be sound issues on Instagram, but I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I got YouTube up. It looks good on YouTube.
Yeah. Look, I don't know. It could be my phone. Maybe I'm gonna play with the volume a little bit here, see if that helped. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, but that's the thing is that, they've intentionally taken guns out of the show,
Mhm.
which we're not going to turn this into a political conversation, but what happened to guns? Like, they can still make bullets. Like, it's not like you don't have to go to this primitive nobody's carrying guns and there are no more guns, you know, because what happened to all those rifles? What happened to all the military stuff out there? They've intentionally written that out, and they're intentionally doing things, and they have appeased the crowd that said it was too violent.
Yep.
But the violent episodes are some of the highest rated ones. Like, I don't think people realize, you know, like when what's the one kid
Henry?
in the warehouse when the walkers bit his face, like his face peeled off, and they did it with Shitty Jared too. You know,
that was the
bit
kid.
his
That was
skin
the
of his
kid from
face
Everybody
off.
Hates Chris.
Yeah. What the hell did they?
You know, those are some of the best scenes when you let Greg. I mean, this is where Greg thrives, right? You know, Mateo, to be able to do, you know, gags and gimmicks that they've never been able to do before. That's the whole thing that Romero gave us with this whole genre, is that we're doing things with live actors that nobody should be able to do. Like Aaron having the claw hand. That's badass. It's so cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the cool things to see. You know, brought it back to like the Merle days a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, but he has got an actual kind of hand thing going on.
I'm really digging the way that they're kind of made him the surrogate, like old man Rick.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I really appreciate that, and we talked about it in over many podcasts before. And we've talked about like how, like, are they going to do the comic book Rick? This is before they talked about Rick exiting the show. And we talked about, are they going to do in the comic books where he loses his hand? And, you know, there's a couple times that Negan alludes to cutting his hand off or bashing his hand so much that it, like, you know, falls off, basically. And we talked about the CGI cost because, like you said before, it all comes down to money. You know, it all comes down to what's it going to cost. Look at Game of Thrones. I mean, at one point, there's episodes worth like $15 million, like an episode or something, because of the CGI. And that's phenomenal. Like, to think, that's like mind-blowing to think about, and it's a cool way for them to kind of get through the problem of Aaron having to wear like a green sock on his arm and them having to, you know, to CGI it out. So, you know, instead they give him this badass like claw Winter Soldier arm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was a cool workaround, and I think it tied in very nicely.
So, two other things I want to touch on before we go and wrap things up or whatever. The scar on Michonne's back, the X.
Right.
The only thing I could really think of is an organ transplant or
I mean, it was on her back, so I doubt it would be a complication of the pregnancy.
Yeah, I mean, well, is this a complication from her giving birth, or did she donate a kidney to somebody, or I don't know. Did she get? I don't know. Is it a weird branding mark? Did she get branded? You know, I don't know. You know, and then
it's strange. It was very intentional, but it's She didn't have it in our last season. You know, she didn't have it before, obviously.
So something happened in the 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's something in pregnancy. Maybe somebody said something like, hey, maybe she's cutting herself to show, you know, like to show tribute to Rick, but that's
really a hard spot to cut.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and that's with us both working at a hospital, and
that's like a really hard place to cut on your own.
And that's with me working, you know, in EMS in the past, and Chris working, you know, in law enforcement.
Yeah,
you know, that's just not a logical place for someone to cut themselves. That's why you frequently see it on the arms, you see it on the inside of the legs.
Arms, it's on the rib.
Yeah, it's on the throat. You know, it's on the neck. It's on
even
their
legs.
On the shoulder. Yeah, inside their thighs. You know, places like that somewhere that's easily accessible. I mean, if you try to reach behind it, you try to carve, and that was a pretty perfectly carved X.
Yeah,
that wasn't like
cutters,
a sloppy.
And cutters want to see it too, like they like to see their marks. So that wouldn't be a cutting mark. That would be too weird.
That looked like a scalpel mark.
See.
That looked like a scalpel cut.
The Walking Dead 129 said, I think it may be to help Tara. Did Tara need a kidney?
Nothing that I know of.
You know, I don't know of any. I mean, it's obviously they're getting. You know, maybe it's for the kid. Maybe it's for RJ. Maybe he needed a kidney.
that could be a possibility. But
Yeah.
it couldn't have been. Maybe he had complications at birth, and maybe
he was born premature or something.
Maybe she donated her kidney to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, you're putting an adult-sized kidney in a child.
I don't know how that would work.
I don't know how that works. I mean, we're not doctors.
Yeah, and they're saying too that is RJ even real? Is he a figment of her imagination? But Magna, what we can appear is it looks like Magna saw him.
Yeah.
But we really didn't get much RJ, so that's a kind of theory running around is it a figment of her imagination?
Yeah, I saw that.
I've also seen a lot of theories that whole thing just seems rushed. That they threw RJ in there last minute like that.
How can it be rushed? They planned.
I trust me, I know that. But what I'm saying,
Rick planned having a future before he left.
I'm just saying what I've seen on the internet. Just that people said it seemed rushed because it was at the end. But I'm like, I don't think it was rushed. I think that's how they intended on introducing him as a character.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, to me, it wasn't a surprise. They made it pretty well known that Rick was trying to have a child with Michonne.
Plus, every other episode, they were in bed naked together. So, I mean, really, was that a surprise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think... If they wrote that as, like, a vision or as, like, a, not being real...
Like a hallucination?
Yeah,
it just seems it's odd. It's an odd pull to me if they try to do that.
Yeah. Then why would what's the new chick's name again?
Magna.
Yeah. Why wouldn't she have went in the house and did whatever she was thinking about doing?
Yeah. What made her
What
pause?
stopped her?
Yeah.
Did she see Michonne talking to herself, holding a fake babe, a figment of her imagination? I mean. Was kind of like weirded out, like
they would have shown her just with nothing in her eyes.
Yeah, whoa.
So. But think about how they do that in filmography and in TV shows and in movies and everything. Is when someone's having a hallucination like that, they'll show it from the person's perspective where they're seeing the other person. Like when Rick saw Lori in the field in the white dress, and then you have another character who's seeing the person having the hallucinations, but they're interacting with nothing.
Yeah.
To drive that point home, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And did you ever see the cut footage of how that scene went down with Rick in the field with Lori?
No.
So he freaked out. You know how he falls on the ground and he's freaking out when Herschel sees him, and he's like, Rick's having a really hard time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Rick goes back to kiss Lori again, she has a zombie face.
Yes. Okay, I did see that.
Yeah, so that's why he was flipping out, is because he saw her all beautiful and perfect, and then she turned to him and she had the zombie face, and he lost it.
I saw that recently too. That's floating around.
That would have been very cool to see in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have it. It's on our IGTV feed. I put it up.
All right, so then maybe that
on YouTube because I thought
that's where I saw it. Then
how cool is that? And that's. Like, that's, people, I do give Rick Grimes, not Andrew Lincoln, I give Rick Grimes a hard time because I think he's made some really bad choices as a leader and as a man. But that's the Rick, that's crazy Ricky Dicky Grimes. That's the Rick I love, man. That's the, I love crazy Rick, man. Alexandria Rick when he lost it, on the road when he loses it. That's the Rick I like, man. And that's what Shane was telling him. That was one of my favorite things that Shane said. When you bit that dude's throat out, like, oh my gosh, that was so great. Because that's the kind of stuff that Shane would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, those are the things that's what I have missed is Crazy Rick.
Yeah.
And then when they go to like Farmer Rick and like all, I'm like, this ain't Rick. Rick's not a farmer.
He's not the white picket fence house having guy, housemaker. You know what I mean?
Rick is the dude where Deanna looks at him and goes, "Do it." Boom. Yeah. That's Rick Grimes. That's Rick Grimes.
And Rick Grimes, and him slitting Negan's throat, like that, that savagery. That's what he should have had. Just like with Carl. When Carl and Rick are at the prison and they're on the balcony and they're looking out into the field and Carl goes, Dad, I think it's time you quit.
Yeah.
And he's like, quit what, Carl? And he goes, being in charge.
Yeah.
Like for me, that was like the segue to say, holy shit, Carl's going to step it up. He's going to become the man. He's going to take over for Rick. Rick's going to kind of take like a sideline and
nope,
down the hill.
No,
and that's where I think AMC went so wrong.
There, and that's that's the ebb and flow that the show goes through. But that's why 3-1 was my favorite, because you've got badass Herschel, pregnant Lori, all savage. We still had T-Dog was still alive. No, was T-Dog? Yeah, T-Dog was still alive. And you had everybody, and then Carl just comes in with that baseball bat silencer that he made and just wastes that walk.
Yeah,
they've had a winter on the road, and they're just rough and tumble, man. They're just ready to rock, and it's and that's what I love about the show. But what's exciting about it is that that's the whole, like, people always say it was just a show, but when you look at this and you think about the dynamic of this group and the originals and everyone that's evolved in this show, Carol, I get asked often, and I'm curious what your favorite character is, but Carol is my absolute favorite character on the show.
Porch Dick killing Rick.
Because, especially this last episode, I mean, are you kidding me? It was just, that was insane what she did. Because you're thinking, what's up, Carol? You got to go make that right, and she sure as shit does. Which is so Cobra. If you remember Sylvester Stallone in Cobra.
Yes.
That shows exactly the scene from Cobra. She throws the match.
I saw a funny post that someone had made, and they screenshotted her dropping the match, and it was like, this is her version of Dracarys.
Yeah.
And from Daenerys from Game of Thrones, and with her with the dragons, and her just saying Dracarys, which means burn.
Yeah.
And her her dragon, and it was like, that's her version, and I'm like, it's so fucking true though.
With the white hair,
with the white long flowing hair, and I'm just like, this is amazing,
There might have been a hint of a little toss to Game of Thrones there.
Yeah, I mean, it was, and like for you asked who was our favorite character, and for me, it's not a whole character; it's just a version of the character. I would say Maggie, but like when she hung Gregory, as much as I love Xander Berkeley, and as much as as I love him as a human being and as a person, and just a good friend of ours, I hated Gregory as a character. I really did, and that was the point. He was supposed to not be a liked character.
Yeah,
and he did acted it to perfection because everyone hated him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Maggie's savagery, that side of her, I love that side of her, because she's willing to do whatever it takes. And that's the same Maggie that snuck into Alexandria and went to kill Negan, and that fell short. And I'm just like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys are killing my favorite character. Like, not literally killing her, but you are just destroying her.
3-1, when that look on her face, and I know she had so much fun doing this scene when they're killing the prison guard walkers.
Yeah.
And she splits that one dude's head open, and Glenn's behind her, and like there's just blood everywhere, and his head explodes, and she's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that Maggie was just in Glenn, and they're clearing the prison ward, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I love this girl. This farmer's daughter just owned my heart.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of Maggie, all right. So
how about you, Chris? What's your favorite?
Maggie leaves.
Yep.
Whatever. Who now takes control of Hilltop?
I mean, Jesus would be the right hand, right? I mean, he's the likely next in command.
You would think, you would assume Jesus, right?
Yeah.
But I'm assuming Jesus isn't around much longer.
So you mean after he gets 86?
Yeah, I have, just because we've seen her around, she hasn't been like a main character yet as far as the season goes, but you've seen her. I think they might put Tara in charge of it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Maybe, yeah. It's funny. It's like that she's not in the mood on YouTube. So he says she's not in the mood to bake cookies.
No, she's definitely not.
Yeah.
And they want you to send her some conditioner. Gay says her hair's too frizzy.
Yeah, they blew that out a little too much. It's blow dryers. The kingdom is in disarray, so the blow dryers.
Yeah.
Fritz too.
Yeah, the whole place is just old and breaking down.
Falling apart. Yeah.
So, boy. Mateo, real quick, why don't you toss out your handles? We'll type them into the chat, we can get it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure, yeah. So obviously, Walking Dead Base is where we focus on Walking Dead stuff. I'm excited to, like I talked about earlier, we're kind of shifting. It's a variety show, but a variety show always makes you think it's television and things like that, and Lawrence Welk. So it's more of a shenanigans show. We're calling it Dead Man Talking, and it's dead, kind of like Dead Mouse. It's D3, and so instead of an E, it's a 3 in Dead Man. And I'm calling it Dead Man Talking, and it's going to be, we're going to post everything in multiple places, our website and our YouTube. We have an Instagram channel. I just converted my personal page over to this. And, we've been doing celebrity interviews. Our Walker Stalker stuff will be on there. We're going to continue, interviews with celebrities, and really we're going to focus on, the Walking Dead genre naturally, the horror genre, pop culture, anything that people are into. Obviously, anything John Wick related, anything Punisher related, anything in that classification, Walking Dead, you're going to see a lot of stuff like that. That's really, those are my 3 things. Anything Sons of Anarchy related, which is why I'm so excited about Ryan Hurst. Yeah. So that's where people can check it out. Dead Man Talking. That's my personal page. My company is Praetorian Ventures. So if you're on any of the pages, you can link to it. And Dead Man Talking is actually a page on Praetorian, so you'll be able to see it there, where we sell our products and our consulting company and that sort of thing. So we do a lot, but I have some ADHD, so having multiple hats is good for people that have OCD and ADHD, right? It lets you focus on different things depending on what mood you're in. But we're excited. We're launching. It's just randomness. I don't want to call it a podcast. I don't want to call it a vlog. It's a shenanigans show. It's going to be a multitude of things. It's going to be me. I'm releasing. It's funny. We talk about Jesus. I'm actually going to release a segment. I'm going to do a homeless kind of skit where I stand on the corner and I say, I don't want anything. I just hope you have a good day. And I'm just going to stand there and just wave to people and just be cool on the corner, and I'm working on something. I haven't told anybody this yet, but I think this is a great place to release this. I'm going to go down. I live in Huntington Beach. We have a pier. It's a pretty, people go down there, performers and different things. So I do have a Jesus, not Walking Dead Jesus, but a Jesus gown. And I'm all about trying to figure out people and do social experiments. So I'm going to have a cameraman and be there, and I'm just going to have a sign around my neck, because we have those people in Huntington Beach that that yell, kind of like at the cons. If you've seen these guys, you're going to burn in hell, and I'm like, you guys, this doesn't help anybody. So I'm just going to go down to the pier. I have a soapbox I'm going to stand on. It's just going to have a sign that says free hugs, and I'm going to be in my Jesus gown, and I'm just going to go give people hugs and just show people that there is still love in this world and stuff like that. So we're going to do silly, random, funny things, a lot of content. It's all going to involve around content, parodies and things like that. So, more just fun, just an avenue to do all the things, and really what my goal is when people say, hey, we should, I want to do whatever's at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we should go. I'll be like, let's do it. I want that to be how I live my life is, hey, we should do a video about a dog interrupting a podcast. Right? So my co-hosts, my first initial co-hosts are going to be my dogs. So that'll tell you how random and shenaniganery it's going to be. My first guest is going to be my dog.
Perfect. It'll probably have the most views of any video ever.
Right? That's exactly how it is. And, for me, it's I enjoy it. I enjoy the creativity of it. I enjoy, like you guys said, meeting you guys, had it not been for this page and me, my friends prompting me to want to go to Walker Stalker, we would have eventually maybe would have met, but we wouldn't have. It would have been the circumstances that we do, or been at a diner having terrible pancakes. Did you get waffles or pancakes?
Oh, it was worse. It was terrible. Those waffles made me want to vomit.
Yeah, terrible waffles.
I think they were just they were cold and they took them and threw them in like a deep fryer. I have no idea. It was terrible. My bacon, I could have bounced off the glass wall.
That was Friday night, right?
I have no idea what night that was. Saturday night?
The party.
Yeah, Saturday night.
Oh, Saturday night. That's when I thought you. That's when I thought all you guys were dead in a ditch somewhere.
We're out there talking, and Seth is standing there with us.
I know.
And I just thought he was some guy. I thought it was like his body double or something. I didn't know it was him. I was like, "Are we gonna go eat? I don't know who this guy is. Let's go eat." He probably thinks I'm a dick because I'm like, "Let's go eat. Come on."
Yeah, that was definitely Seth.
Well, no, he was funny because on Friday night we went to the Omni. To the bar, and we were getting ready to leave to go back to the apartment.
Yeah.
And he walks past me, and I looked at Chris, and I'm like, "Yo, there's Seth." And he's like, "Oh, let's go fuck with him." And Seth's become a very good friend of ours. So we go over there, and we like kind of like slap him in the back. And he turns around, and he like looks at us like, "Who the fuck? Oh shit, it's you guys."
Yeah, he seems super chill, and I mean, but that's overall what I've experienced through Instagram interviews and now meeting them in person. At Walker Stalker is everyone is so gracious and they get embraced by the community, and like Jenna Elfman, has gone she's full committed to this universe.
100%.
And she was a fan of both shows before she got on, so she's a super fan too, which makes it awesome about Jenna's knowledge. She knows the show, like she knows it in and out. And to see her engage and to see her respond to fans and do that's what this is all about. And so I kind of like what everyone else does, I want this to be a place where people can say a stupid theory and not be judged or condemned, or be able to say something and not be like, "Hey, you're an idiot for thinking that." Because people that's why I wore my Triggered shirt tonight, is
Triggered.
People get pretty fired up over some silly things, which is why I always try to promote peace and love, man. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's not about, your own pretense or whatever you're trying to get. It's, be kind to each other.
So
I love how Chris says that at the end of every Talking Dead. Be nice to each other.
We're going to do a side-by-side, like, experiment where you do that huggy thing in California, and I'm going to do it here in New York. And then we're going to compare it. It's going to be a catastrophe.
I think you would be surprised. Now, you might be careful what borough you go into. But
I'm just going to do it right in the city where we live.
Yeah.
I think you would be surprised. And what I think I said it, one thing I like is it's not so much what you say or what you do, it's the reaction you get.
Yeah.
And so I like to see people outside of that normal. I like to break down paradigms, right? Like you're in this normal bubble of what you expect, and I want to flip it from the other direction and see how you react to that. Because people just want to be told. Ultimately, people want to be told what to like, what to wear, what to eat. I mean, one of the most debated questions in the world right now is, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where, you get people getting fights over where they're going to go to eat.
Absolutely.
That's our biggest concern in America right now, is you don't know where to go get food. Like, that's a great problem to have in our country today. So I want to be, I'm not going to be some, pragmatic that thinks, I want to change the world. But you can change the world by impacting one person at a time, because I can tell you that hanging out with you guys, getting to know you, getting to know David, getting to know Sean, getting to know everyone in this world has changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know I'm going to impact other people's worlds. So that's, to me, what this is all about. It's about really having fun, right? Because life's too short,
Exactly.
As we both know, right? What recent experiences in our life would tell us. Life is too short. So maybe there's stresses in life, but there's really nothing that bad going on that you need to be so triggered all the time.
It's true. I gave Kathy.
So that's kind of my ethos 101 right there.
Yeah, I gave Kathy, who was a nurse at our hospital, a hug today, and she said I made her day.
Yeah, especially because she was kind of having a hard day already, and it turned it around.
Give her a hug. She said that just changed my whole day.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a smile.
We're in a time where divisiveness is so prevalent on all sides of it, right? And people want us to not be kind to each other. People want you to be afraid to give a coworker a hug that's a woman. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
If you have a friendship with somebody, giving them a hug isn't a sexual advance. And so we need to say no to all that garbage, right? The stuff that I always like that they say we should do or not do.
Right.
The they is what's ruining our world right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very true. All right, my man. We are going to let you go. Thank you for being here.
You guys are. Thank you so much. This has been fun. We need to do this more. This is definitely.
Hey,
we could go all. Like I said, we could go all night. But you guys are late.
Always down.
That's what I'm saying. If we didn't have a 3-hour time difference.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, shenanigans, show, whatever you want to call it. If just to jump on and just talk bullshit, whatever.
Yeah.
Show like some live stuff that we filmed in like our area, your area.
Oh yeah, no.
A reaction show to like just whatever. So
and
down.
It's gonna be terribly edited. I'm not trying to be a cinematographer. I'm not looking for any Pulitzer awards or anything. It's gonna be terrible, but I don't care. That's the whole point of it. It's raw. It's unfiltered. It's fun, and we are. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to try to. I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I want to do every episode of The Walking Dead summarized, as Mateo would do it. So I'm going to start doing with season 9 first.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you like the rundown of the week's episode, but like lightning fast and really kind of from a different point of view. So
I like it.
I like it.
Perfect.
So we'll be getting those out. So 90 seconds with Mateo or something like that. I don't know.
There you go.
I haven't come up with a title for it yet. But.
I like it. 90 seconds with Mateo.
Brothers.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
What?
Right on the nose, are we?
Hey, there you go.
All right, say goodbye to Rick. We'll see you on
Bye,
the
Rick.
season finale, Rick.
Later. Bye, Coral.
Coral.
Mateo, thank you so much, man. Everybody out there in YouTube world, thank you for hanging out with us. Everybody on Instagram, it's been great. Thank you for watching us.
Yeah.
If this is your first time hanging out with us, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Most of you guys here are obviously followers of this man, Mateo, so we appreciate you hanging out with us and him. We will be back next week, Tuesday the 20th, with Matt Magnum.
Yep.
Who is, he was a savior, and now we just saw him this week. We just saw him this week playing the nice role.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll have to see what Mr. Magnum's got going on in the Walking Dead world. So we will be back here. Oh boy, he brought out Lucille. Or no, the Matt Bat.
Just remember, I am Negan.
And that's
have a lovely.
That's the Matt Bat.
That's the Matt Bat.
This is Matt Bat. This isn't Lucille. This is Matt the Bat.
It's the Matt the Bat. So we'll be here next week, Tuesday, with Mr. Magnum from The Walking Dead. All right, everybody. Peace out. Be safe. Make sure someone's always watching your 6, people.
Yep.
Peace out. Good night. We love you.
Later, guys.
Mateo, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, guys. It was